Pain Free for Life members, and welcome to another Monday 10-minute training. I'm Dr. Rob Van Bergen, and today we're going to do a throwback to a bit of an old protocol, but it's a good one, referred to as the watermelon technique, the lens technique, or N-stim. Now, this protocol is used for anxiety, panic, PTSD symptoms, issues with sleep, including physical manifestations like restless leg syndrome, cloudy and foggy thinking, whether it's from ADD or ADHD, and even from problems with people suffering from a TBI, traumatic brain injury. It's also been shown to help with recovery from addiction, which I know can be a big deal for a lot of people, and has shown some pronounced improvement in individuals suffering from ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder. So these results, and this protocol, I should just say, is something that's been around for a very long time, but it takes a bit of work to do it. And it's not a one and done treatment. And so it has fallen out of favor in favor of simpler treatments, like maybe gamma energizer using the Hache. But it doesn't detract from the fact that microcurrent is often faster and delivers better results than PEMFs. It's just that PEMFs have their own advantages too. I've been through this before in a different video. So when I say this here with this protocol, that the results that I've just mentioned of what you can get from this were on average achieved between 15 to 20 sessions. So it is not do it once and you're done. It's do it consistently, sort of like vagus nerve stimulation, if you really want to get lasting results. So it is a protocol that many people don't want to go through simply because of the time dedication. The other restricting factor to it can be that it seems complicated. But, if any of these issues are that I've listed already today in this video are big problems for you, right? Whether the brain fog, addiction, restless legs, sleep problems, it may be well worth taking the time to learn this protocol. So let's take a look at the protocol and run through the different steps. Now I'm going to share my screen here, and you'll have to forgive me for the image here. We are in the process of redoing all of these images, but I still have a very old image, and I have drawn on it as well because I found that the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 were not very easy to see. So I just wanted to kind of write on them in red here. So hopefully you can see what I can see here. You should see the top of an acupuncture dummy with kind of like a watermelon pattern of yellow lines drawn across them, okay? So how do we do this protocol? So first you're going to need your device. I'm using the Avazia Life Pinnacle here because that's what I have on hand. But you could do this with the Evolution, and you could possibly do it with the Genesis, but you'd be better suited to not, because you really want to use any frequency below 60 hertz. And the preference is a frequency or algorithm that falls into the gamma range, which is between 32 and 45 hertz. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my Pinnacle to 32-45 hertz. There it is. Once I've found that, I'm going to hit the middle button to lock it in. So now my screen says 32 to 45 hertz on it. Okay. Next, I'm going to plug in a comb attachment. Now, I'm using a bit of a unique one here, which is another prototype we're working on. So it's more of a handheld one instead of with a brush. And that's just what I have on hand here as far as brushes go. So what you're going to do is you're going to set this on the third eye, which is right here in the middle of your forehead, right? And you're going to adjust the power until you can feel it. So I'm going to hold that plus button down until I can feel it. Should feel it pretty quickly. Yep. The conduction in this brush is really high, so I've got to be careful not to go too strong on it. Okay, so I've got it positioned on the third eye. Hopefully you can see that there. And in fact, I'll just shoot off the slide really quick so you can see where I've got my brush positioned right there, okay? And I'm putting a decent amount of pressure on there. So you got that there, and then we're going to be moving with this backwards along line number 1, which is the central zone. So first, I'm going to hold this in place for 30 seconds on the third eye, and then I'm going to move it across the central zone. So I'm going to be going up, dragging it through my hair, and I should still feel it, and I'm going to stop right on where that number 1 is. So that's right on the top of the head. And I'm going to hold that there for 30 seconds. And then I'm going to move to the back of the head. So I'm going to keep going through the hair to the back of the head, and I'm going to stop right there on the back. Now, you're essentially looking for, if you were to put a pole right between your third eye to the back of your head, that's where you're going to be putting this. So you're like drawing a line right through, okay? So once I've done that for 30 seconds as well, I'm going to then position my electrode by lifting it off and putting it back on the third eye for another 30 seconds, okay? And then I'm going to move gradually down line number 2 towards the F3, okay? You see the F3 there. So I'm going to be going this way up into my hair, and I'm going to be stopping right there on the F3, so before I reach the middle of the head. And then I'm going to do 30 seconds there, and then I'm going to keep moving backwards just past the line number, behind the number 2 on the image. And I'm going to hold it for another 30 seconds there. And then I'm going to end right on the third eye again for another, sorry, not on the third eye, on the occipital foramen on the back for another 30 seconds. Okay? And then I'm going to go back once again to the third eye. And I'm going to move my electrode this time to the F4. So I'm going to stop right around there, right before the middle, after I've done my 30 seconds on the third eye. And I'm going to do 30 seconds on the F4, 30 seconds on the C4. Can't see through the wire here. And then another 30 seconds on the occipital foramen on the back. Then I'm going to go back to the third eye again, doing another 30 seconds. And this time I'm going to be going more along the side of the head, okay? Stopping right around where the ear is, like just above the ear, which would be T3, okay? So I'm going to hold that there for 30 more seconds. And then I'm going to pass through that 0-1 there, right to the back on the occipital foramen, and stop there for another 30 seconds. And then lastly, I go back again to the third eye. You can see there's a lot of repetition here. And I'm going to go along the side again, stopping above T4, like above the ear, right on T4 for 30 seconds, and then sweep back around to the occipital foramen for another 30. So when all is said and done, aside from messing up your hair pretty good, this protocol is going to be working to help with all of those different things, okay? So hopefully that makes some sense of this, because when I look at this diagram initially, I would not know 100% what I'm doing here. But you got to work through those different points and stop in those positions it wants you to stop in, okay? And you just keep cycling through that. You want to do, as we said, the average to start seeing some pretty good reversals was about 10 sessions. But the general rule of thumb is 15 to 20 sessions. And it depends on what you're looking to deal with, right? You can't just do, in this case, one session and be done like you can with some other protocols. But this may be something that you want to look into if there's some major problems going on that you haven't been able to resolve. So that is it. Again, not the easiest protocol to learn, but hopefully this little bit of a visual is what people needed to make this make more sense. This is in Current Medicine 2nd edition, so there is a written reference to it, and there are videos in the training as well. But remember, you can practice this and follow along with the video, pausing as you go. And I think in doing this, you're going to find it much, much easier. So if you practice while looking through the video and stopping as we go, you're going to find this makes a lot more sense than just reading it or just trying to figure out what is going on in that picture. So thank you all for joining me today. And again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. But otherwise, I'll see you next week for another Monday 10-minute training. Take care.